I was born in 1979, the year of gas shortages, bell-bottoms, and disco dying a slow, glittery death. I came into this world at Mercy Hospital in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, under fluorescent lights, to the sound of my mother's exhausted laughter and my father's shaky prayer. "She's got your eyes, Cora," he whispered, holding me like I was made of glass. "And your stubbornness," my mother groaned, half smiling through tears. We lived in a red brick duplex on the south side, not the fancy part with the bars and boutiques, but the working class stretch where porch lights stayed on all night and everyone knew your business before you did. Dad drove a delivery truck for a local bakery for AM shifts, flour in his hair, always smelling faintly of cinnamon rolls. Mom worked part-time at Kmart, folding sweaters and hiding candy in her purse for me and my little brother, Danny. Money was never easy. Christmases meant one present each, wrapped in newspaper. Vacations, a weekend at a state park, sleeping in the back of Dad's Chevy. But we had warmth, we had noise, we had love that didn't need to shout to be heard. I learned early that being the responsible one was both a gift and a cage. At 10, I packed Danny's lunch when Mom had the flu. At 13, I balanced the checkbook because Dad's math was shaky. At 16, I talked Mom out of leaving Dad after he lost his job, not because I thought he deserved it, but because I knew we couldn't survive without him. I didn't resent it, not then. Responsibility felt like purpose. Like being needed was the same as being loved. I met Robert in 1998, sophomore year at Community College of Allegheny County. He was tall, lanky, with a crooked smile and a habit of drumming his fingers on every surface. He worked nights stocking shelves at Giant Eagle. I worked days at a dentist's office, answering phones and calming nervous kids. We met in the parking lot, both of us rushing, both of us tired. He spilled his coffee on my shoe, apologized with such sincerity, I laughed instead of yelled. We married in 2001, small church. Potluck reception, my mother crying into her napkin. Robert wore a rented tux. I wore my cousin's dress, altered twice. We moved into a one-bedroom apartment above a laundromat in Bloomfield. You could hear the dryers thumping through the floorboards. We didn't care. We were in love, or at least, I thought we were. By 25, I was promoted to office manager at a medical billing company. Robert started driving for Uber after his warehouse job downsized. Nights got longer. Conversations got shorter. We stopped saying I love you and started saying did you pay the electric? Our daughter, Emily, arrived in 2006. A surprise, a miracle. A tiny human who screamed like she was mad at the world for being so bright. I went back to work at 6 weeks. Cried in the bathroom stall every morning. Robert took over nights, rocking her, changing her, whispering to her while I slept. For a while, she glued us back together. But glue dries and cracks form. The cracks started small. Robert stopped coming to parent-teacher conferences. You're better at it, he'd say. Then he stopped coming home for dinner. Traffic's bad. Then he stopped looking at me when he spoke. Just tired. I told myself it was stress. The economy, the kid, the bills. I became a master of distraction, deep cleaning on Sundays, organizing closets at midnight, volunteering at Emily's school just to feel useful. If I kept moving, maybe I wouldn't feel the silence growing between us. Then, in 2019, the year Emily turned 13 and started rolling her eyes at everything, Robert sat me down at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd celebrated her first steps, her first date, her first sleepover. "I think we need space," he said. His voice was calm. To calm space. I echoed, my fingers gripping the edge of the chair. What does that mean? He didn't say, I don't love you. He didn't say I'm seeing someone. He just said, I need to figure out who I am without all this. All this meant me. Me and Emily. The laundry, the bills, the school plays, the grocery lists. The life we'd built brick by brick, year by year. He moved out 2 weeks later, took a suitcase, his guitar, and a photo of us from our honeymoon, left behind his winter coat, his coffee mug, and me standing in the doorway, watching his taillights disappear down Penn Avenue. I didn't cry that night. I made Emily's favorite pasta, helped her with her science project, tucked her in. Then I sat on the bathroom floor and stared at the tiles until my eyes burned. The next year was quiet. Emily buried herself in TikTok and track practice. I buried myself in work. My boss praised my efficiency. My coworkers called me the Rock. No one asked if the rock was crumbling underneath. Then Mom got sick first. It was forgetfulness, leaving the stove on, repeating stories. Then it was falls, 2 in 1 month. Then the diagnosis, early stage dementia. Dad, God bless him, tried to handle it alone, but at 78, with a bad hip and a stubborn streak, he was drowning, so I became his lifeline. Grocery runs, doctor appointments, sorting pills, cleaning her bathroom after she forgot how to flush. I did it all with a smile, because that's what I do. I fix things, I hold things together. But in November 2021, the night after Thanksgiving, while Emily was at a friend's house, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, toothbrush in hand, and didn't recognize the woman staring back. Her hair was streaked with gray, she hadn't bothered to dye. Her eyes were hollow, her shoulders slumped like they were carrying the weight of 10 people, and her lips, they hadn't smiled a real unforced smile in months, maybe years. I whispered, out loud, "Who are you?" When no one needs you. The question hit me like a punch. I dropped the toothbrush, sank to the floor, and for the first time in decades, I sobbed. Not polite tears, not hidden sniffles, ugly, gasping, shoulder-shaking sobs that echoed off the tiles. I cried for the girl who used to dream of being a writer. I cried for the wife who thought love was supposed to last. I cried for the daughter who was terrified of becoming her mother. I cried for the mother who didn't know if she was doing anything right. And then, I made a decision. I signed up for a class, not a Get Your Life Together seminar, not a yoga retreat, just a simple, 8-week course at the community center. Rediscovering You, Writing Your Story, Tuesdays at 7 p.m., $45. No experience needed. I almost didn't go. The night of the first class, I sat in my car outside the center for 20 minutes. Gripping the steering wheel, heart pounding like I was about to rob a bank. What if I looked stupid? What if I cried? What if, worst of all, I had nothing to say? But I went, because I was more afraid of staying the same than I was of looking foolish. The room was small, fluorescent lights, folding chairs, 10 women, all ages, all stories, some divorced, some widowed, some just lost. Our instructor, Marlene 60-something, silver braids, voice like warm honey, said, "This isn't about being a writer, it's about being honest, even if the truth scares you." I wrote my first sentence that night. I am Victoria Adams. I am 45 years old, and I have spent my entire life being everything to everyone, except myself. My hand shook, but I didn't stop. That class became my lifeline. Every Tuesday, I left work early, picked up Emily from practice, made her a sandwich, and drove to the center. She started calling it Mom's Me Time. She didn't know how much those 2 hours saved me. I wrote about my father's hands cracked and flour dusted. I wrote about Robert's last kiss, quick, distracted, on my forehead. I wrote about Emily's first word cookie, and how it made me cry. I wrote about Mom forgetting my name, and how I smiled anyway. And then, I wrote about me, the girl who loved poetry but stopped, because it wasn't practical. The woman who gave up painting because who has time? The mother who apologized for taking a nap? The daughter who felt guilty for wanting to scream. One night, Marlene asked us to write a letter to our younger selves. I wrote to 16-year-old Victoria, the one who stayed up late doing homework, who ironed her brother's shirts, who thought being needed was the highest form of love. I wrote, "You are not responsible for holding the world together. You are allowed to break. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to want more. And one day you will learn that being loved is not the same as being useful. And that's okay. You are enough, just as you are." I read it aloud. My voice cracked. Half the room cried. Marlene handed me a tissue and said, "Welcome home, Victoria." I started walking. Not for exercise, not for weight loss, just to move, to feel the air, to remember I had a body that wasn't just a vessel for other people's needs. I walked along the 3 rivers. Heritage Trail past the old steel mills, under the Smithfield Street Bridge, along the Allegheny River where the water glittered even on gray days. I walked in rain, in snow, in the sticky heat of August. I walked until my feet ached and my mind went quiet. One afternoon, I stopped at a bench near Point State Park, watched the rivers converge, listened to the seagulls fight over fries, and for the first time in years I felt peace. Not happiness, not excitement, just stillness. Like my soul had finally caught up with my body. I pulled out my notebook, the cheap spiral one I'd bought at Dollar General, and wrote, "Today, I walked for no reason, and it was enough." Then, Mom died. March 12, 2023. Pneumonia, quick, quiet. She went in her sleep. Dad holding her hand. I got the call at 5:30 a.m., drove to the hospital in my slippers, held her other hand, kissed her forehead, whispered, "You can rest now. Mama, I've got it." The funeral was small, rainy, Dad wore his good suit and didn't cry once. Emily wore black and held my hand too tight. Robert showed up, stood in the back, nodded at me, left before the reception. I thought I'd collapse, but I didn't. I made the potato salad. I hugged the cousins. I thanked the pastor. I packed up Mom's things, her rosary, her recipe box, her favorite slippers. That night, after everyone left, I sat on her bed, the one she'd slept in for 40 years, and opened her nightstand drawer. Inside, under a pile of tissues, was an envelope. My name on it, in her shaky handwriting. I opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a $20 bill, and a note. Vic, go get yourself something pretty. You always put everyone first. This time, put yourself first. Love, Mom. I sobbed so hard I couldn't breathe. Emily found me there, curled up on the bed, clutching that note like a lifeline. She didn't say anything, just climbed in beside me, held me, and for the first time in years, I let someone take care of me. I started sewing again, not fancy stuff, just mending, hemming Emily's jeans, patching Dad's favorite flannel. Then, I dug out my old sewing machine from the basement, the one Grandma left me, dusty, rusted, but still working. I made a quilt, scraps of fabric from old clothes. Mom's blue dress, Dad's work shirt, Emily's baby blanket, Robert's tie. I kept it, not for him, for me, for the memory. I stitched them together, uneven, messy, beautiful. Then I made tote bags. Simple, sturdy, lined with bright fabric. I sold them at a local craft fair, made $87. Felt like a millionaire. Emily started asking for custom designs. Dad wore one of my aprons to his church potluck. Best damn apron I ever owned, he said, winking. I opened an Etsy shop, Vic Stitches, took photos with my phone, wrote descriptions in my pajamas, shipped orders from the post office on my lunch break. It wasn't a fortune, but it was mine. Every stitch, every sale, every thank you note from a stranger who loved their bag. And then the email. June 2024. Subject line, your writing moved us. It was from a small online magazine. The Quiet Revival, dedicated to women over 40 rediscovering their voices. They'd found my piece, the one I'd written in class about Mom's note, posted anonymously on a writing forum. They wanted to publish it. Paid, not much, but paid. I showed Emily. She screamed, Mom, you're a real writer. I showed Dad. He framed the acceptance email, hung it next to Mom's photo. I didn't tell Robert, not because I was bitter, but because it wasn't for him. It was for me. The piece went live on a Tuesday. I refreshed the page 50 times. Cried when I saw my name Victoria Adams in print. Not Mrs. Henderson, not Emily's mom. Just me. Comments poured in. This is my story too. I'm 52 and just started painting. Thank you for giving me permission to rest. I replied to everyone. Today, I am 48. Emily's in college, studying environmental science. Calls me every Sunday, sends me memes, still uses my tote bags. Dad lives with me now. We drink coffee on the porch. He tells me stories about Mom I've never heard. I sew him new shirts. He calls them Vic Originals. Robert remarried last year, sent me an invite. I didn't go, but I wished him well. Not out of obligation, out of peace. I still work at the billing office, but now I leave at 5 p.m. sharp. No guilt, no apologies. I teach one writing class a week at the community center. Marlene retired, asked me to take over. I said yes. I walk every morning, so every evening, write in my journal before bed. Some days are hard. Some days, the loneliness creeps in. Some days, I miss the noise, the chaos, the feeling of being indispensable. But then I look around at my quiet house, my sewing corner, my bookshelf full of journals, my Etsy orders pinned to the fridge, and I feel something I haven't felt in decades. I feel like myself, not the daughter, not the wife, not the mother, not the caregiver, just Victoria. Flawed, tired, trying, alive. So how did I find hope in the middle of all that pain? Not in grand gestures, not in miracles, not in new loves or sudden fortunes. I found it in a $20 bill from my mother, a Tuesday night writing class, a walk by the river with no destination, a sewing machine that still worked after 30 years, a stranger's comment that said, "Me too," my daughter's hand holding mine in the dark, my own voice shaky, real, finally speaking up. Hope didn't roar. It whispered. It didn't arrive in a package. It grew, stitch by stitch, step by step, word by word. And if you're reading this, if you're tired, if you're lost, if you feel like you've disappeared into the roles you play, Hear me, you are still there, under the laundry, the bills, the school runs, the silent dinners, the empty beds. You are still you, and you are worth finding. Start small. Write one sentence. Walk one block. Buy yourself something pretty. Say no, say yes. Cry in the bathroom. Laugh at nothing. Rest without guilt. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to be remembered. By you. I am Victoria Adams. I was born in Pittsburgh in 1979. I survived divorce, grief, burnout, and silence. I found myself again, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. I am 48 years old, and for the first time in my life, I am enough just as I am.